got a 2020 Indian Challenger. This bike has been rear-ended, unfortunately, but the rider's okay. We're going to take this fender off today. We're going to take the license plate bracket. See that? That's been chipped as well. I'm going to throw some spray paint on that, clean it up, and we're going to get this thing swapped. This Indian Challenger has been in the garage before. What happened, they bought the brand new fender after they were rear-ended. They bought it from the dealership and then they brought it to me to install it. So that's what we're gonna do. Should be pretty light work. We just gotta take the saddlebags off, take the seat off, side panels, disconnect the saddlebags, the electrical connections in here. Pretty easy. Then we're gonna have to deal with these spools to get the sissy bar and the rack off. And we should be able to unbolt this thing from here. And then we gotta come under here and disconnect the license plate and tail lights from the inside of the fender. But this thing held up pretty well. Hopefully I can bend that back in place because the screws or the bolts are in here, because this thing is these are riveted in here. But this seems to be okay. This thing took some hit right there. There's actually a bar under there. I don't know if I can get that. I think this exhaust tip was actually pushed in or hit compared to that one, so it's not as flush as the other one. So there's some damage back here, but the bike ride's fine. We just got to get this off and clean it up. So let's get started. My bad, y'all. I forgot. We just lift like this to take this off. There we go. And then this should pull back. Well, yeah, we're gonna get it out, but yeah, we don't have to. The spools are just for this to sit, so we can take that off. It's also that time of the year. Look at that. All that pollen. That is a lot. This thing's gonna need a straight bath, dude. It is absolutely filthy. Side panels. Let's pop. Disconnect this harness. So now the saddlebag can come out. Same thing here. Alright. I think I always say this is the wheel speed sensor, because on the Indian Chief, this connector is actually just like the wheel speed sensor. But anyway, this comes out. Now the saddlebag can come off. Good. We're gonna close the lid. Lift the saddlebag up off of here. Pull it out. Do the same thing for this side. Now there are quick release available for the Chief, the Challenger. He just doesn't have them. We're gonna sit that like that. Pick it up. You guys can see right there, there's that cable that we needed to disconnect. And there are the bags. Easy peasy. We got one bolt right there, one right there. We got one down at the bottom. We also got one right there. So 3 are holding this, well 4 on each side. The seat, it's got a lock on it, and it's a Corbin seat. This seat's actually really hard. But yeah, the stock seat doesn't have this on. It's just a seat that you unbolt. But we're gonna look up on this. Yeah, if I can get my key back, come on. Yeah, so the stock seat right there, they bolt in right there. But pull this. All right. There we go. That's heavy. We don't want to lose this. This is a stud for the seat to sit on. We're gonna take this off. And what we also have here is a coolant fill for the radiator. Screwdriver. Pull that up. I have a tool that can actually get that a little bit easier, but so do that. Oh, that was already broken. Look, I dug into that fender. So we're gonna disconnect this. Peel that back. Next up, I gotta get this rack off. It releases like this on both sides. I put my gloves on, man. This bike's filthy and it's making my hands itchy. But we're gonna lift up on this on both sides, and this is gonna pivot up. And then we're gonna take these spools off, give it a firm lift. Off. All right, so you might be wondering, how do you get this through that hole? Well, you peel these off and then you unbolt these. That's one. Not that it really matters, but I'm gonna keep up with these. So I'll put exactly where they came out, and that's 2. 1. I should have used this in the first place. I have a longer socket though, but I always start off with these. And 2. But I know this is boring, but I like showing you guys step by step so people don't feel afraid of being able to do this. It's very simple. You just have to do it step by step. So now we're gonna take these off and then one at the bottom on both sides. We got the left side and we got the right side. One right here is a little chewed up, but hey man, gets the job done. And these are 10 millimeter and the one down here is gonna be a 13. You can already see it starting to lift. Came out. All right. Ah, there's a washer on the back. So this one's probably, you probably see this thing pop out soon. Yeah, it lifted. See that? So we're close, baby. All right. First side's done. This one. There's one. Two. And the last one. At this point, here we go. All right, I completely forgot. Do not forget about the antenna. It runs up that piece right there. See that? To the harness. It has a little 8 millimeter screw back here. There it is, 8 milli. Comes out like that. There's the antenna. And there's the cable right there. So now we should be able to get this thing off. All right, so we can't hurt this thing anymore, right? That's what's holding it. That cable right there, that's for the harness. To get these two cables off, which is still holding the fender, we got two connections. We got this one right there. You see that button? Squeeze it, pull. Disconnect. You can't mess that up. This looks like a Fakra connector, but this is a radio antenna connector. Then we have this one. Lift up on that and you pull. And now we're gonna get this from out under here. Lift up on this a little bit, there we go. And now this fender should come off, there's nothing holding it. There we go. I have always been a criticizer of this. Why didn't they just make that black? Black, black, blackity black, not black. Not black. Y'all gonna make that black, but not that? Come on, y'all. Come on. All right, so we're gonna flip this. All right, fam, here's what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is to get the taillight bracket off and the license plate bracket. The harness is fed through that hole. What I'm interested about right now is these, because these are in, I guess, the fender. These don't look like they can be reused because they're kind of in there. I'm gonna try my best to save these, because if not, I'm gonna have to figure out a way to keep that harness from rubbing up against that tire. We have a solution. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is gonna work. These little knobby pieces, these sit on that really tight. So you take something like some pliers, grip it, just lift up on it, give it a nice little tug. Don't squeeze it too hard, man. Be patient with it. But these lift up off of this, and these are on the new fender. So if you get a new fender, these are already on the inside. You just need these to put on there. So my hope, actually, I don't know how the hell am I gonna do that. This can go through there, but this can't go through there. So I may have to depin this. I hope not, but I don't see how I'm gonna get that through that tiny hole. I can fit stuff in small holes pretty well, but that, oh man, I don't know if that can work. All right, so I found more damage, but good news is we can disconnect the signal lights and probably pull that harness through, because they're running more likely through the same piece, right? Because that signal light and tail light and license plate light. But look at the license plate light, it is busted. I'm sure it still works. We're gonna find out, but yeah, more damage. That looks straight and flat. We can bend this back out. Yeah, we can bend this back in. Yeah, we're gonna disconnect the left and right signal. I think we can get away with that. No, we're good here, folks. Yeah, we can get away with that. So we got the turn light signal and this little pick from Harbor Freight. A pack of these are like $2. They press it like that, pull it. You can probably do it with your fingers, but getting in there, it can be a little bit of a challenge. So press down, kind of just push it through. Like that. Whoa, they put some zip ties on this sucker here, dude. Holy cow. Look at that. It's like 3 zip ties on there. Let's see, right there. You lift up on that little, and this is where these little things come into play again. That little lip right there. You lift, and you just pull, just like that. And that pops it out. So now, this thing's free. We're gonna take that harness, go through that connector, and the harness is free. And that fender is, I guess, junk to him anyway now. It's still a good fender, just dent it. I'm sure somebody could find some value out of that. You can easily use a hammer and dolly and get that out, but we're gonna replace this with a brand new fender. I love this material, man. It is so awesome to paint with this because it doesn't really hold loose fabric. And as I mentioned before, those little nibs right there, that's where you will hook those zip tie caps on there. They're gonna feed the harness through that hole right there. So this is the antenna for, well, the piece for the antenna. This is gonna stick on the outside. So now, go back with that one, back with that one, with that one, with that one, like this. All right. Both signals and the license plate light are connected. Here's a tip. Don't connect the wiring harness to the inside of the fender until you connect these first, because what's going to happen is you're not going to have the slack. And so now that I have the slack, I can do it, but before I only had like that much, and it was hard trying to pull that signal light cable through there and also connect that. So yeah, do this first, then connect the harness on the inside. Got this mounted up, got this license plate mounted back up, also bent these reflectors in place, or at least make them look equal. But before I put the bolts back on there, I did add a little bit of blue Loctite so these things don't vibrate off. We got some red already on there. All right, so this is what we got. New fender. That is the back. So one of these was bent in. I couldn't remember if they were bent in or out, but I bent them back out. And yeah, it looks even, right? Yeah, that's even. I'm going to mask all of this off. I wanted to do it off the bike, but then I thought, you know, I don't want to have to wait till tomorrow to have to worry about the paint drying and everything and then put this back on. But we're going to mask all this off. We're going to do it the right way, I promise. All right, my good folk, we got the wire harness up there at the front. Just gonna slowly slide this thing down. Under, we got wires. Lift up on it. Not quite there yet. Money. I've already tacked these on. Let me tell you this. So I started tacking the fender to the subframe. Be very careful with these. It is incredibly easy to strip these subframes on Indian motorcycles. So I'm going to do the other side. See that? See, when it's hard now, and then I lift up on it, it's easy. Be very careful with that. I'd also recommend not fully tightening one side before you get the other started. Because what's gonna happen is if one side is too tight, you're not gonna be able to like lift and move. So I definitely recommend don't go full beans on one side until you get the other side started. So once I get this side started and it hooks in like it's supposed to, see that's catching, but it's not in there. It's gonna cross thread. That might be it right there. Very easy to cross thread, y'all. I keep repeating it, but I don't want you to cross thread your stuff and then it don't hook in and then you wondering why. You know what I mean? So now I can go tight on these and get the one at the bottom. All right, now we're going to put the spools back. Well, we're gonna hook this harness up, make sure the lights work. I haven't even tried that. Oh, wouldn't that suck if I did all this and that didn't work? Let's do that and power the bike on. This goes back under this little hook. Boop. Tuck that back in there. This goes into here. Top tab with top tab. Boot to boot. Clink. Nice little clickety click. All right, I ain't mad at that. That look good, man. For, you know, some LEDs, or I guess the cover that's missing under there, that don't look bad. Hazards, those work just fine. All right, so we do have a chassis fault right there. That's probably because we disconnected the lights. This thing's also an 11.8 volt. Ooh, Brandon, what you doing? Get that key off that paint. Get the key off the paint. 11.8 volts diagnostics. It's gonna tell us something. Yeah, VCM 1 voltage below normal. That can be two things. That could either be just the battery's low, or it could be something going on with the VCM, because these bikes are known for weird stuff like that. But more than likely, it's just the battery's low. But we'll put it on the tender when we're done. Squeeze that. That works, because I didn't want y'all to see my crock. Rear brake. That works. Okay. All right, we're gonna turn this off and keep putting this thing back together. So we're gonna get this little doohickey right here. I'll screw the stud back in there for the Corbin seat. Pop that in like that. Then we take this little piece. Boom. So tighten that up. This here connector back. Ooh, that snap was satisfying. No, we gotta do that again. Listen to that. Listen to that. Oh, yes. Ugh. All right, so with that, I think it's time to go back with the rack, or we can go back with the saddlebags and then go back with the rack, or we can do the seat and then do the rack. We can do this in multiple ways. So I think we're gonna go ahead and just do one of them. Go like that. Here, pull back. Like that. Locked in, baby. Probably been easier to put this on for the seat. I mean, okay. There we go. Before I put these saddlebags on, we need to deal with this scratch. So in the light, that looks pretty bad, right? We're gonna take some sandpaper, scuff that up just a little bit, level it out. Then we're just gonna take some black Rust-Oleum Gauze Protective Enamel paint. Nothing crazy, man. We're just trying to make this look better. What I'm gonna be using is 1000 grit sandpaper. Don't wanna get too aggressive on this. Honestly, guys, a lot of that looks like it's paint from the car. Oh man, it is. We ain't gotta paint this. We got lucky. We didn't need no paint. All right, so that's what we look like right now. So it looks very dull. So I'm gonna get my machine polisher out, buff this out, clean it up, and we're done, man. All right, fam, what I'm using to do this is gonna be some Ultra Cut Compound Meguiar's. Not because this is the best, this is what I have, and this is what I learned to use. We're gonna use the Ultra Finish and Polish. My pads are way overdue for changing. This is gonna be my cutting pad, and I think I have one in here. This will be my finishing pad. Very soft, pretty much a waxing pad, but this should get the job done. Now that this is dried, you can see why we gotta come back and polish this out. It's gonna look like glass when we're done. All right, after one attempt, that is what we looking like so far. Better, right? That is after a couple of passes. Gotta clean it up a little bit more. I'm not satisfied with that, and I gotta get in that little spot right there. But yeah, still looking a lot better. Wax. So we got the, well, not wax, but polish. We were compounding at first, and now we're polishing. And this is gonna bring some of the shine back out. And then I'll go back and put a little bit of wax on it. So. Y'all, that's it. Oh my God, what do you think looking new? All right, so we got some wax. Meguiar's Ultimate Paste Wax. Again, not because it's the best, it's because this is what I've been using. I've had this same thing of wax for like 4 years now. I had for, oh, it smells so good. If I can get this out. Lord Jesus, okay, let's just get this on the bike. I'm gonna put this on here. We're gonna let it sit for about, I don't know, 2 minutes. Clean up the excess. These techniques that I'm doing doesn't work on this because this is a matte paint and this has a clear coat on it. So completely different. While I wait for that wax to do its thing, I'm gonna go ahead and knock these saddlebags out. Get them remounted. Money, money. Plug it back in. It's gonna give us our saddlebag lock functionality. Stuff that back behind there. And we loop that through there. There we go. That seat was messing with that a little bit. Okay. Money. Love it when the plan come together, don't you? I sure do. All right. Close. Clink, clink. This one behind this panel. Pops in. Boom. That gives us right saddlebag lock functionality. I did have to go back to the left side because the bottom was still pushing out, so I just popped it in there. I try not to be too aggressive with these things, but sometimes you kind of have to. All right, baby, we done. Let's wipe that wax off. All right. Get the wax off of the fender first. I'll go back with some cleaner. And that's the finished product, y'all. That is what we're looking like. I am pretty satisfied with that, not gonna lie. I didn't have to paint it. I'll take that, and I think the owner will take that as well, y'all. Make sure I get the wax out of those little parts. Hey, yo, listen. It didn't even take me that much time to do it. I brought y'all along and it took me about 2.5 hours. Took the fender off, swapped everything over, got the new one on, and we polished it. Hey man, for a work night, that's not too bad. And then your boy had the nerve to put up all his tools and we got the old fender in the box. Boy, I'm out of control. All right, 2 things. Patreon. If you want to go over there and support me as a creator so these videos can keep coming out, they're free. I did this entire Indian Challenger fender swap for 50 bucks. Nothing crazy, didn't want to charge this guy too much, and plus he already spent $1,600 on that fender. But for every patron, you get a spot on my wall, and also you get to see some behind the scenes stuff, more of the financial stuff. Yeah, if you're interested, I'll leave a link down in the description. Second, if you are interested, I am an official remote tuning location for Lloyd's Garage. I'll leave a link down in my description to BrandonBicasso.com where you can go over there and check that out. And if you have a question about it, leave a comment down below. This bike is done. The owner is coming to pick it up this afternoon. I think he will be very pleased with the work that we done, despite the few little issues that are still there. But everything works. It looks better, and that's all that matters. And of course, it's safe. But as always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I hope y'all learned something about this bike a little bit more if you didn't know already. And yeah, till next time, catch you next one. Peace.